If you're experiencing great difficulty realizing your desires, if it seems like it's a frustrating struggle all the time, if you feel like you're always hustling and not getting anywhere, you're very likely skipping over the first and most important step toward achieving your desires. Let's dive in. Welcome to Success Sundays with Harrison. I'm your host, Harrison Wilder. I'm a corporate strategist and entrepreneur with an executive MBA from the George Washington University. I've managed two multi-million-dollar companies, and I advise top-level executives from a variety of industries. In this show, you'll find practical insights that will help you succeed as a leader in today's business environment. If you're serious about developing your skills as an executive, this is the place for you. Enjoy today's episode. My middle child, Harry, has a brilliant mind. At a young age, he began drawing things that he would see in his mind. One time, I came home from work and Harry had started drawing a treehouse for the backyard. He proudly showed off each and every one of the rooms and what they were for. And every day when I would come home, things would change in the drawing. One day, he added a zip line connecting the treehouse to the main house. Another day, the interior design was reconfigured. Now, my imagination is not naturally as strong as Harry's. Almost all my strengths are around strategy and planning, so I would immediately think about what it would take to make Harry's vision a reality. In the back of my mind, I was saving for lumber purchases, thinking what YouTube tutorials I needed to watch, and planning to take time off to build this treehouse. In fact, I had started to feel guilty as a parent as the weeks went on that I hadn't made any progress toward building this treehouse for my son. Have you ever felt that way? Like, are there any parents out there that have felt parent guilt because you're so busy all the time? Or maybe you've just felt guilty for not taking more action on your own desires, the desires in your own heart. If so, you're not alone. However, I did learn something by watching Harry at that young age that eased my guilt. Harry really didn't seem to mind that things weren't happening in the material world yet. He was actually quite content building in his mind. To him, seeing it in his head, drawing it out on paper, that was fulfilling in itself. The truth is that if I had started building that treehouse, it would have been frustrating for us both. Every day his design was changing. Every day he was perfecting it in his mind. The desire inside of him was becoming more and more clear. One day I came home and the picture was no longer even a treehouse. It had turned into an office building and Harry was leading his creative team in the center of it. Can you imagine the frustration that would have occurred if I had taken time off of work, invested money in lumber, watched all the tutorials, and started building a treehouse, expecting Harry to help, while all the time now Harry was seeing an office building? The truth is, though, I do this all the time. I do this with my wife. I do this with my kids. I do this by myself. A desire has hardly been articulated, and I'm already getting to work on it. Is there anybody else out there like me? Planners, strategic thinkers, implementers? How frustrating is it when someone changes their mind after you've already started working? Oh, it's very frustrating. But here's what I've learned. It's only frustrating because I violated the order of creation. I skipped steps. I started trying to bring into the material world something that hadn't yet been fully developed in the immaterial world. And my guess is that this is the source of much of your frustration as well. There is a reason why film used to have to be developed in a dark room. The image needed to fully form in the secret place. It had to figure out what it was going to look like before the lights could be turned on and it could be shared with the world. If it was exposed to the light too quickly, the whole thing would vanish. It wasn't yet ready for the material world. Now it's beautiful to watch Harry's dream develop. The dream continues to grow inside of him to this day. Parts of it have started materializing, but much of it is still developing deep inside his imagination. And without the pressure of dad trying to force it prematurely into the material world, it will brilliantly develop into a dream realized. If you're experiencing great difficulty realizing your desires, if it seems like it's frustrating all the time, if you feel like you're always hustling and not getting anywhere, you're very likely skipping over this first and most important step toward your dreams. This is the hidden part of your power that you may have not tapped into yet. You must actually dream. The number one problem most people have with realizing their desire is that they start before they see. They start moving before they've taken a moment to fully realize what it is that they truly want. The first step must always be to see it in your mind. With as much clarity as you can muster, you must imagine what it is that you desire. Once you do this, once you vividly picture what it is that you want, you're going to be able to recognize the opportunities already staring you in the face that will move you toward your desire. But the first step is to see. When you do this, you're cooperating with the order of creation, the process by which anything and everything is created, the pathway to your dreams. So, how do we see in the unseen world? It sounds super spiritual, right? Seeing in the unseen world, mystical, perhaps unattainable. Early in my spiritual journey, I was super intense. 17 years old, and I wanted desperately to hear from God about my future. I was worried that I would somehow miss the mark, that I wouldn't become the person that I was supposed to be, and that I might not do all the things that I was called to do. I doubted my own ability to hear from God, so I sought out prayer from others. I asked them to pray that my eyes would be open to see and that my ears would be open to hear. I shed desperate tears. I worried. It all felt so distant to me. Have you ever wondered if you're on the right path? Maybe it doesn't come out as desperate as it did for me. Maybe it's just a nagging question. What do I really want? What am I here for? Who am I? Does it feel heavy? Unreachable? In the height of my frustration, I broke down after church one Sunday afternoon. I pounded the wall in frustration as the tears streamed down. Why didn't God speak to me? Why wasn't he showing me anything? Jesus said that he did nothing unless he saw the Father do it. He said that he said nothing unless he heard the Father say it. How was I supposed to achieve anything with my life if I couldn't see, if I couldn't hear? It was the only time that I've ever been to Hershey, Pennsylvania, when the answer came to me in a most unexpected way. A few of us from the church had drove from Washington, D.C. to hear a man speak to us about how to hear the voice of God. I was skeptical, but intrigued because I really wanted answers. And what he shared changed my life. As he stood on the platform, he closed his eyes and he said, "Now I'm seeing in the spirit." And when he opened his eyes, now I'm back in the natural realm. You see, he said, God speaks to you and shows you things in the place of your imagination, the same place that you daydream. I thought back to all the times I had attempted to pray and hear from God. I would sit there and listen after posing all my desperate questions, and inevitably my mind would wander. I used to get so angry with myself because I thought my mind wasn't disciplined. I would slip into a daydream and then beat myself up about it. But sitting there in Hershey, Pennsylvania, I realized that God had been speaking to me all along. He was showing me things in my imagination. I had dismissed him, thinking it was supposed to be something more spiritual. The same may be true for you. God has been speaking to you. God has been showing you who you are and what he created you for. He has given you pictures of his beautiful future for you, but he shares them in the realm of your imagination. You may call them dreams. You may call them desires, but know this, every time you entertain them, you are seeing into the unseen world. Here's a success challenge for this week. I want you to try a little experiment with this. Get ready to set a timer for a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes. Now, if you're bold enough, pray this quick prayer with me. God, I'd love to see what you want to show me. Here's my imagination. Let me see what you want me to see. Now start the timer and close your eyes. It's really that simple. You'll be surprised at what you will see in your imagination. It doesn't have to be profound. It doesn't even have to make sense yet. The point is that your imagination is a spiritual place where you can see into the immaterial realm. In that place, God can create in you things that have yet to be created in the material world. Author Stephen Covey wrote that everything that is created has been created twice. Once in the immaterial realm, the imagination, and then secondly, in the material world. If you have any questions for me that I might be able to help you with as you dive into this, and I could talk about it on a future episode, post them down in the comments. I do love to hear from you and create content that's super relevant and helpful for you. So my team will tee up those ideas for future episodes. Until then, have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. You know, great businesses and great leaders are built using effective communication. For more, go to speakingschool.com, grab my Elite Business Success Toolkit for free just for trying out our Speaking School membership. That's speakingschool.com. See you next time.